question that follows on from this to Herr Schultz, the lawyer. What now? What next? Maybe we have to state in a few words what has happened so far. I was commissioned by Erika Duggan after the public prosecutor and the Frankfurt Regional Court had declined to continue investigating the case. And they limited their actions, they limited themselves to the simple hypothesis it was an accident and he died because he wanted to kill himself. And that is what the police themselves said right after the occurrences. There was no interview of those involved in the accident. There are only a few notes that the policemen made for themselves, or the policeman who interviewed them. There was no autopsy, even though that is actually required. And the physician who had determined the death explicitly asked for an abduction, and the clothes of Jeremiah Duggan, which would be important evidence, suddenly disappeared. The clothing has disappeared. We filed suit because of that, but that case was closed. On October 1st, 2006, together with our colleagues, lawyers Becker and Stucke, we filed suit before the Constitutional Court with a case. The case is 37 pages long, and we discussed the judgment passed down by the Regional Court in Frankfurt. And we determined that this injures his rights, his basic rights. We have not heard back from the Constitutional Court since then. We have asked several times when the case would be decided. We've gotten only evasive answers to those questions. There is no clear timeline. However, one must say that that is nothing unusual, and one should not conclude that the Federal Constitutional Court does not want to hear the case, but the average case before that court takes 4 years by now, so one must fear that only then will the case be decided. We believe that our argumentation, working from the European Court of Human Rights, will have the Constitutional Court strike down the judgment and have the case reopened. Jeremiah Duggan spent the days before at the Schiller Institute at a training course, that there were problems. All of that is indisputable, and to give just one example from what we wrote, his passport was not on his body with his clothes, but it was at the Schiller Institute. And it was given to Erika Duggan, smeared with blood. So I believe that we have a good perspectives, or good prospects of the Federal Constitutional Court to follow the judgments of the European Court of Human Rights. There is no judgment by the Federal Constitution yet based on Article 2 of the German Basic Law and Article 3 of the European Constitution, that the government is required to have sufficient and meaningful investigations in case of death.
We actually have experts on the panel. When analysing the ideology of LaRouche organisation, Mr. Berdit, what kind of a group is this? How should we picture the context that this young man entered into?
A number of publications looking at fascism and anti-Semitism, and our perspective is based not just on studying the LaRouche group, as I hurl this thing into this. Let me start over. Our perspective is not based on just studying the LaRouche group, but looking at forms of neo-fascism after World War II, and especially the role of anti-Semitism. It's important to understand that anti-Semitism in the form of Judeophobia, slow down. Okay. It's important to understand that anti-Semitism in the form of Judeophobia, the fear and hatred of Jews, existed before the Nazi genocide, and it exists after the Nazi genocide. She's giving me the sign. I'll follow her. It's okay. Relax. It's fine. I've got my order here from her. So, when people say anti-Semitism, very often people think Nazis in uniforms, the death chambers and the organized military extermination program. Anti-Semitism is much broader than that and can be much more nuanced and complicated than that. One of the major forms of anti-Semitism today is to use coded rhetoric about international banking oligarchies or Jewish financial power, or in the United States to say the neoconservatives are really dual loyalist Jews who are more loyal to Israel than they are to the United States. So in Germany, when the LaRouche group talks about the Venetian merchant usurers, the Babylonian cabal, when in the United States they put out this pamphlet, Children of Satan, the Beastmen. In medieval Europe, the children of Satan were the Jews. The beastmen for apocalyptic Christians in medieval Europe were those Jews seen in league with Satan in the end times. There is no doubt that there are people around the world, when they hear this rhetoric of financial oligarchies, of merchant usurers, of the beastmen and the children of Satan, they know exactly that LaRouche is talking about Jewish conspiracies. Therefore, when I was asked to write the update for the entry on neo-Nazism in the Encyclopedia Judaica, I asked if I could talk about the bridging mechanism played by coded rhetoric of anti-Semitism. And I wrote material which was then edited. Here's what we finally said, and I'll end with this. Conspiracy, and this is a quote from the Encyclopedia Judaica 2nd edition, conspiracy allegations moved into more mainstream circles through bridging mechanisms that often mask the original overtly anti-Jewish claims by using coded rhetoric about secret elites or Zionist cabals. The international organization run by Lyndon LaRouche is a major source of such masked anti-Semitic theories globally. If the Encyclopedia Judaica and its editors from around the world agree that the LaRouche organization is a major source of masked anti-Semitic rhetoric around the world, why are we not challenging them on that basis around the world as well?